Okay, we'll call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
John Righeimer,
Here.
Stacy Hessel, Mark Helwig,
Here.
Tom Duffy, Jeff Haney. You have a quorum.
Excellent. Pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Certification of compliance, please.
This meeting has been noticed to the media and the public as required by section 19.84 of the Wisconsin statutes.
Thank you. The meeting agenda is set. Do we have any public comments? Anybody online? Excellent. Yep. Go to minutes. Consider approval for the minutes from the last meeting. Motion by Tom Duffy, second by Jeff Haney. Any discussion? All those in favor? Minutes approved. We'll go to number 8, Treasurer's report.
Good morning, everyone. As of August 7th, we had 8 parcels left. We start with 37. This is the interim update. August 11th, this last Monday, was the judgment day, and we acquired 7 of those properties. Sounds like a couple of them are going to try and buy them back, so we're going to going through that process. We continue to communicate with all the taxpayers regarding delinquency properties, and we're doing pretty good reducing that every week. We're getting people coming in. We're closing up the real estate property tax collection for the year. Since May 27th, when we sent out those reminder cards, we've collected $8.446 million in revenue and receipting, compared to last year, which is about $500,000 more ahead of schedule. So I think the reminder cards did their job. Canton County land sales, we sold 26 of the 37 parcels. We still got 11 of them left, and those sale amounts added up to $270,000, $275,001. Additional revenues that we collected in the month of July. The computer aid was $4,500. Shared revenues with the other counties, $84,000. First dollar credit, $729,000. School levy tax, $4.5 million, and those are all pretty much level from last year. Not very much. They're all within a small percentage. And that's it for any questions.
No, that's excellent. Keep up the good work.
I'd like to make a comment. I just want to commend Mr. Lehner and his team for doing an outstanding job for coming in new this year. He's really learned a lot and stepped in and figured things out and just doing an amazing job, especially selling these properties. That's a big deal, and he's done a great job. So just want to go on public record saying that.
Thank you. I agree. What's the strategic plan area of focus? Is that?
I can take over now.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Brian.
All right. So then looking at the budget for treasurer for 2026, there's actually a small reduction from 2025. And that's because of health insurance. I've mentioned at almost every meeting that if there's a change in staffing, oftentimes a change of health insurance follows that. It's one of our highest cost items. So their budget's actually down a little bit from 26. And then on to strategic plan. I think most of you have heard this from one of your other committees, but this month in August, we're going to all the committees, each meeting, asking you to identify areas of focus for strategic plan. This is an unfiltered look from committee members for all of the departments that they fall under their jurisdiction. And this will help us to build the baseline for the strategic plan moving forward. What we're asking for today is a combination treasurer finance. This is kind of a smaller committee. Yes, yep. So again, just fill those out when you have time, and it would be wonderful if you get them to me by the county board meeting next Thursday. So any questions there? All right, sales tax. The the July settlements, which is indicative of the May activity, was up about 55,000 from the previous high for May and for July. And if you remember back to May, it was very hectic in Sawyer County. And this is the July settlements, again, going back to May, are really our first month of where it picks up for our summer traffic. So I'm anticipating that we're going to see some very good returns here. I'm just judging by what's happened downtown. This put us quite a bit up over last year now for the projections, over 7% projected increase. Again, this is a spreadsheet that I use some analytical data and predict going forward. Doesn't mean we're going to hit that, but it's looking good. We're getting it to the point in the year where each month it gets a little more reliable. And so I'm hopeful there. Any questions? Moving on to budget performance, this is through July, which is 58% of the year. So for a couple things I want to note here, sales tax, it looks like we're running under at 55%, but again, we're just hitting our heavy months. So I believe that's going to catch up and even exceed. County forest stumpage has been strong again, has been for about 3 years in a row, very strong. And interest on investments is holding up well. We're at 62% of the year for the year at when we should be at 58%. So even though the return's a little less, I budgeted less too, but we're keeping up with budget. And we have not had to do a draw from fund balance, and I'm hoping that we don't. On the expense side, we're right on. We're at 58%, and that is including, even though I haven't drawn from fund balance, I have issued to the other funds. Every month we're doing what we've budgeted for draws from general fund to other funds. So that is in there. Hopefully at the end of the year, we can make an adjustment and not have to have all those funds drawn, but either way, we're running right on budget. And if I net out the draw fund balance, we're at 62% on the revenue side. So running a little bit of ahead. On the human service HHS side, we are a little behind on revenue, which is not uncommon. We're very grant driven. That usually comes a month later. So we should catch up there. The expense side, we are running a little bit ahead now, particularly on purchase services. That's the one thing we keep monitoring. We're getting a little ahead of budget on that. So something to keep an eye on, and has me a little stressed moving into 2026 too, that we need to do something about that trajectory. Highway, this is a fund where, again, we're usually a month behind. Everything is entered into CHEMS, which is a state reporting program, or the program we use for state reporting. And then we enter it into New World the following month. So that's always a little bit behind. The expenses are a little bit ahead if I consider we're a month behind in entering, but we're in the middle of summer construction. So that's a heavy time as well. Any questions on any of that? Then I'll move into the finance department budget request. And this is one where we've got some changes. If you look at the bottom line, it's about 111,000 less than 2025. When I took the position as administrator, I kept my role as director of finance. Part of it, I believed among myself, Randy, and Cindy, that we could handle the duties, but also I knew this was going to be a tougher budget year, and I wanted to set the example of trying to get by with less. So just wanted to note that that is one place for saving money for 2026. Any questions on that? The overall budget, the requests are all in now. I'm working on compiling them. We're going to recommend some adjustments where we do have a structural deficit that we have to deal with. So I'm looking at both the revenue side and the expense side, things that we can do to get where we need to be. So I'll have a preliminary report for the September Finance Committee meeting. But we've got some work to do this year. So it'll be the most challenging budget since I've been here.
Briefly, why is that, you think?
There are a few reasons. Every year since I've been here, we've had some new revenue source. When I got here, sales tax was still escalating. That leveled out last year, 24 from 23. 25 is looking good again. Then the following year, though, it was made up with interest revenue because the investment income the prior year was, and we were getting like 0.25% at the time. I think it was under 100,000. Well, then we shot up to $1 million, over $1 million in investment income beginning in 23 and moving forward. That has leveled off and actually gone down now a little bit. And then I believe 24, we had shared revenue increase, not to the extent that other counties received because we don't receive a lot of shared revenue. So we had one of the top 5 percentage-wise increases, but I think dollar-wise, we're probably one of the bottom 5 or at least bottom 10. But that helped a lot. And then for 25, we really haven't seen new revenue. So that's one factor. And then some of our escalating costs with purchase services, in particular, out-of-county placements that's really gone up in the last 3 years. And every year it's gone up and now it's really catching up. So those are the main factors. We have a little bit of relief because the state budget at certain placement facilities actually reduced the cost. There was going to be a huge increase in cost and it actually ended up going down. So that will help. And that's one of the things we're analyzing is who was there, who we anticipate being at those facilities where there's relief. So it's going to be more of a process this year than in years past. A lot more work to go into it. Every challenge is an opportunity. You bet. For CIP purchases, very minimal. We had a couple buildups on sheriff's vehicles and that's really it. So nothing new purchased, just getting those ready for use. Moving on to department budget performance reports. This month, we're kind of looking at our elected official wing there with the county clerk, treasurer, and register of deeds. Starting with county clerk for 2024. Both revenues and expenses were up a little bit from budget. If you recall, for these 3 positions, they were up for election in 24, but starting in 25. So we had an adjustment to the salaries there. So that's why they went a little bit over. For 25 for the county clerk, we're already ahead on revenues for the year, which is good. Both county clerk and ROD have seen revenues be pretty strong the last couple of years. And on the expense side, we're a little bit ahead. Postage is running ahead and we've made an adjustment in that budget for 2026. So that a little bit is attributed to that, and printing costs as well are up. So something we'll monitor. I think at the end of the year we'll be okay. Moving on to treasurer then. For 2024, we we don't budget revenue on treasure. We get some incidental stuff occasionally, and we did get about $800 last year. And then it's actually an area where we came in under budget on expenses too. So for 2024, treasurer came out very well. For 2025 so far, kind of a similar story where we've seen a little bit of revenue come in, a little over $400, and then we are just under budget on the expenses at 57% when we should be at 58. So nothing is standing out at all on treasurer's side. Any questions there?
I can say that the publication has gone up quite a bit from last year. The increase in rates, and with the land sales, there were more that I had to publish out there. So adjusted it for 26, but found other places
Yeah.
that have been sitting dormant for a while. So it's all looking good.
Yeah, there's definitely been some publishing costs with the sales, but it's been good to get rid of some of those properties we've been sitting on a while. Kind of clean up our books. Register of Deeds for 2024. This is one where there's just been a lot of activity. So we exceeded budget on revenues substantially. And this is one of the areas I'll be looking at for 26 to maybe increase the proposed budget's revenues because we've been exceeding. And then on the expense side, they were under budget. That was, I believe, one of those ones where we saved some money on insurance. A little bit, yeah. So again, they've been seeing a lot of activity. And they've been handling it well. So, like I said, we'll try to reflect the increased revenue activity in the 2026 budget, which will help our deficit as well. For 2025, this is another one where, again, the revenues are very strong. We've already hit budget on the revenue side, and expenses are running about 3% under. So ROD is very strong revenue source department for us. Any questions on any of those? All right, moving on to the June investment report. On the surface, it looks like we have less money than a year ago, and that is because we had some debt issue money that was out there that we hadn't spent down yet. You can look at the WISC net note proceeds of 3.4 million last year. We have very minimal the last month and this month, and that's why the overall amount looks a little less. The rates are holding. They're definitely down from a year ago, and interest overall is down from a year ago, but it's still very solid. And as I mentioned, we're running a little bit ahead. Any questions there? You can see that ARPA money is no longer on this report because we have written all the checks out of that now. And then next, we had a CD come due in August. So I've got a recommendation for a replacement for that one, a $3 million CD. That is in front of you. Just received the final bid yesterday. Bids were close as they generally are. My recommendation would be to go to with the PMA WISC CD, $3 million. This is an easier one, yep. 4.16%, about $9,000 over the other two bids. So it's a pretty easy recommendation to make. The one this would replace actually is a PMA CD now, so kind of nice in a dual role. It keeps our portfolio a little more balanced and diversified.
I'll make a motion to approve the recommendation of the PMA WISC CD at 4.16%.
I'll second that.
Motion by Stacy Hessel, second by Mark Helwig. Any discussion? All those in favor? Anybody opposed? Approved. Hazard mitigation funding.
This is one we had thrown on the agenda last week for both this and public safety. This is one of those grants that was going to go away. It's a $90,000 grant that we were going to have to find another funding source for. So that's why we put it on. In the interim, it's become more hopeful and the grant is back on the table. It's not a done deal yet, but it's looking a lot more hopeful than it was a couple weeks ago. So this is one I'll keep you abreast on if it changes, but it's looking like the funding will be there for this to keep our hazard mitigation plan up to date.
Thank you. Any board committee updates? Stacy?
I'll give mine if you don't mind. So I'm on the PACE committee, but that keeps being canceled because they have no applicants applying for the funds for approval. So I think that's been canceled for the last 6 months and again today. Economic development is not meeting this month, so they'll have another report for you next month. And then also if we could support the fair, it starts today and goes through Sunday. So the Sawyer County Fair starts this afternoon and the Dweebs are playing, I think Friday or Saturday night, I can't remember.
As Ron Kinsley likes to say, this is your Sawyer County Fair.
Everybody's Sawyer County Fair. It's for the county and then we hope that it's the only time I hope non-county residents come in.
Thank you. Any correspondence, reports from conferences and meetings? Any future agenda items? Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone.